Hey everyone. This time I wanted to give you guys a bread recipe, continuing on what we talked about last time. And where this one came from is years ago, they used to make like cranberry bread, right? You go pick it up at the store. It's not exactly cheap, and it's basically just bread with cranberries in it. But it made a nice little snack. And I thought, I would like to have that snack, but I would not like to have to pay what I pay for it every time. So that's what this recipe is. Now, once you look at the ingredients and the time and everything else, it may or may not be cheaper. But it has one major consideration to it, and that is you are controlling the ingredients. And if you control the ingredients, then you make it healthier, right? For example, I use wheat flour, not the regular bleach stuff that then they have to put vitamins in because they've killed all the natural to it. Raw wheat flour. I use raw sugar. Again, not been processed. Doesn't have all the other junk that's been added to it. It's just sugar. An egg. Again, as I did with the brownies that I talked about last week, I add in yogurt. I use Chobani Greek vanilla yogurt, and I'll put 3 heaping teaspoons of yogurt into it. And for me, I changed out the cranberries for blueberries. Now, this is a modification of a recipe I found online, so I didn't originate this recipe. But here's how it goes. 2 cups of wheat flour. Throw that into your mixing bowl. You're going to put in 3/4 to a cup of, actually probably a full cup. We'll still keep it moist enough, but give you a little better consistency to it, of almond milk. You're going to throw an egg in, and you're going to throw in 3 heaping teaspoons of that Greek yogurt. You're also going to throw in about 3/4 of a cup of raw sugar. But unlike the brownie mix, you have to throw in some baking powder to make sure that it rises. Now, baking powder is a tricky thing. It's supposed to be a teaspoonful. I'm at 1,000 feet, and here in the mountains of Vermont, it doesn't always work. I've gone to a tablespoon and had issues with it rising. So I usually go beyond a tablespoon to really make the bread rise and get a good thickness out of it. Now, again, you can modify this and make anything you want. If you don't put any baking powder in at all, it'll come out the height of basically what it is. And it's more like a thin, very dense material, like you see with certain confections. They're just not very thick, but they're very, very, very dense because there's nothing to make them rise. And I use blueberries. Now, you can do 2 things with the blueberries. You can throw some blueberries in while you're mixing it, but as I'm mixing it by hand now and not using my food processor, I don't throw the blueberries in. Now, with the food processor, you can throw all the ingredients into your food processor and hit it on dough and just let it do what it needs to do. But because I don't do that at this point, I'm just using a hand whisk or a hand blender in this case for it. I just put all the ingredients in and then take the blender to it. Now, when you get done with it, you're going to put it in a 6x9 pan, greased and or nonstick. And you're going to put it on at 460 degrees for about 45 minutes. This takes a lot longer to cook than the brownies did, twice the time, at a higher temperature. But once you get done, you'll have a bread with whatever you put into it. Now, you make the bread up first, and then you put the bread into the dough into the pan. And then you add your blueberries and you push them down, or whatever you're going to put in there, cranberries, whatever it is. Depending on how dense you're going, your blueberries or your fruit might start to sink, and it might come out on the bottom. If it does, no big deal. When you take it out of the pan, flip it over, and you have an upside-down bread. All right? If you want to keep them in place, you're going to have to put something like the wheat onto them, kind of like what you would do to flour a scalp before you eat it or before you cook it. The problem is, once you put your fruit into the flour, you've got flour all the way around it. You got to make sure that you push each one in. You can't just put them on the top. If you're just going to throw them on top, don't bother with any of that. Just sprinkle your fruit over the top and let it bake. If you want, you can also drizzle a little honey over the top when it comes out, or when it's mostly baked, right? It's going to be for 45 minutes. At the 44-minute, or once it finishes, for example, just do a little honey over the top. Then you have to worry about baking. You don't have to worry about the honey degrading too much. It's just going to get soaked into the bread from the heat and while it sits there and finishes. Now, the way I bake, because I'm using a small toaster oven as opposed to a big oven, which you can also use, but because it's so small, I just use the toaster oven for it. I just leave it in there after it's done baking. I don't touch it. I don't open the oven up. Usually it's because I'm busy, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Set the timer on the stove, just the little oven, and let it go. I use an air fryer for this, and then I don't have to worry about it when it gets done. But that gives me a bread that I can then eat multiple times. It usually lasts me about a week, me personally. If I use a cup, with the 2 cups of wheat that I just described here, it's going to last a little longer. And so I up the list for not so much a single person, but somebody who's got a small family. You know, you've got a couple, you got a kid or two. You can make this bread for them. It's healthier. It's got sweetness to it. It's got the fruit to it. So it makes a healthier alternative for a snack for them. You do have the need to have to cut it up, obviously, but it makes for a quick snack. Something they can take with them. It's not going to go bad. Caveat: everything that I make does not have preservatives in it. It will not last as long as something you buy in the store, which is one of the reasons you know what's in the store isn't as healthy for you. So I've had this bread go bad before a week is up during warm, moist weather. So everything goes in the refrigerator now. I haven't had anything go bad since I put it in the refrigerator, even beyond a week. So I just get a Tupperware container, or a Tupperware-like container that has a nice air seal to it. Push it down so it seals, lock the lid in place, pop it in the fridge, and just grab it as I need it. But this will give you something inexpensive, easy to make, and it makes an inexpensive alternative to candy or other sweets that's a lot healthier. And it also means that if you weave it in as part of your diet, my way of eating is multiple times during the day. I don't just eat 3 times a day. I'll eat 5 times a day, typically. So this gives you one of those pieces in there. The advantage for most people, I'm not going to say this is going to work for everybody, is that spreading out your meals, eating a little less each time, keeps your metabolism a little bit higher than it would be normally, because your body has to process that food, so it has to rev up and start to process. Because of that, you don't get lulls in your metabolism during the day. It lets you burn off a little bit more in the calorie category for most people. I'm not a medical person. I just read, and therefore I always put caveats on everything that I don't believe that everything that's ever put out there is appropriate and works for every person. But this will give you something simple, easy to make, and something you can share with your family. So that's what I got for you guys this week, and I will talk to you all next week.